And print media, it's important because you have to understand demographics and clientele that on LinkedIn, on Instagram, in print media. And for me, as someone who's building the brand and looking at that marketing structures, it's really key because in construction, you deal with these ebbs and flows, right? I'm fairly young, but I've been through enough recessions, through my childhood and now to see that it's not going to be like this forever. And at some point, we're going to have a correction. And when that does, the companies that have built this stability as far as systems and protocol, they've built branding, if they can weather the storm, if they're prepared for it, when that storm comes, and half of the contractors leave, well, that branding is now key because they've been consistent. And now when it comes out of the recession, they're poised and ready to take off.
Branding also is security, because when we go into a recession, people are a little bit more cautious with the money that they're going to spend. It's not that they're not going to spend money. They just want to make sure they can't take that risk of failure as easily as they could in good times. So what they want to do is they are willing to pay a little bit more when things are down because they want it done right, and they want it done right the first time. That's what brand safety is all about.
It's funny you say that because I sat in a conference. I've said this on the podcast a couple of times, but I was at the LinkedIn Global Conference, and the comment was made that they said personal branding is permanent job security. But you think about that, branding is job security.
Yeah.
The personal brand, the business brand, these weather storms, these are your connectors, right? And it's interesting as you partner, and then Build Magazine's done a phenomenal job. And what's amazing to me is I've sat back and watched, and just a little background, the way Ted and I met. So I'm part of a Builder 20 program, and a Builder 20 I've spoken about. This is, again, going back to social media. I was connected into this. A mentor of mine who's in the building industry pulled me aside and said, hey, Brad, you need to get part of a Builder 20, change our entire company, change my career. And at our event, we were in Whitefish, Montana.
Yep.
And here's Ted. Ted's there. He has a magazine there. You're there. One of the builders in my group. We meet. And at this point, you had no presence in Scottsdale.
Zero.
None. I mean, you came here, but you didn't have a magazine. And here I am from afar. I meet Ted at this function, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And then he decides to open up the Scottsdale market. And then quickly you have the top builders, the top architects, the top designers in town. And it's amazing to see what you've built. So talk about how that mentality is although Build Magazine had a name, but now you're going into a new market with essentially no connections. And now you're building this amazing little enterprise here.
Yeah, interesting. I was taking the dogs for a walk this morning, oddly enough, with my wife, and I go, you know what, honey, it's kind of cool. The magazine's been out for 8 months, 7 months, whatever it is, and we've got some pretty cool friends here, and it's all been networked through what we're doing. And the comments, I did a podcast yesterday with Toting Sutton from Estes, and he's been around I think he's owned it for 25 or 35 years.
Yeah, he's a staple here in Scottsdale.
Yeah, and he's so well respected, and they do such a great job. And I say 25 or 35, you'd think I'd know because I literally did the podcast and talked to him yesterday. But it's funny because as our concern in coming into Scottsdale was we were into boutique high-end markets like Jackson Hole, Sun Valley, Park City, Whitefish, Bozeman, Bend. And then we went into Naples, and that was kind of our first foray into a big city. Now, Naples is 300,000, not 3 million. And then we come to Scottsdale, which we've had a place for 10 years. But I never knew how to wrap my arms around a big city. It's easy. It's super. The building community is really small. And so when you start to talk to people and start to connect the dots, and you were the first, you and John Gurley from Gurley Construction were the first two people we talked to. And then all of a sudden the door started to open up. And it's not like they opened wide open. Everybody didn't go, oh, Ted, you're a great guy. If John or Brad.
Everyone's hesitant to that, right? That sales call, right?
And they would look at what we do and they go, because we had street cred. And I don't even look at it that way because I'm too busy, building a business. And they go, okay, you know what you're doing is spectacular. Nobody does it, not even close to what we're doing. And this black box idea came out of just a conversation with somebody in Jackson. And so now all of a sudden I deal with, Jaffa Group up in Park City, which is part of your team. I deal with Rob and Shane Woods at Woods Design in Santa Fe.
Part of my group, yeah.
Part of your group. And it was just connecting the dots. And if you follow through on what you say you're going to do, you can have long-term relationships. I always tell people, I don't want you for a year, I want you for a decade. It's just my DNA.